This is your Wall Street wake-up call. Oil prices pushing stocks higher as oil producers gather for a meeting in Algeria. Here now is Jasper Lawler, a market analyst with CMC Markets in London. And so, Jasper, the big question now is, do we get a production freeze among the top oil-producing nations? But if officials are calling this gathering a consultation or an informal meeting, we can't take it too seriously, right?
Good morning, Scott. Well, I think that's key. Those comments from the Iranian oil minister yesterday, calling this just a consultation meeting, and that if any decisions are to be made, they should be made at an official OPEC meeting, really says it all. I mean, that's game over right there in terms of any decision being made today. The oil prices are pushing a bit higher today because it does seem like Saudi Arabia have softened their negotiating position a bit, and it looks like probably not today, but at some future meeting, they are going to be willing to cut production in order to bring Iran to the table and actually agree to some sort of freeze. I thought one of the other keys yesterday was that Iran said that they are actually targeting between 11 and 13% of market share. Now, they've been saying similar things all along, but I think that was subtly different to the assumption that they were targeting some specific number of billion barrels per day in output. Really, it seems like they are aware that OPEC production overall has expanded since they were instituted sanctions, and so they want to catch up with essentially Saudi Arabia, who've ramped up their production in recent years. All
right, now you bring up two important points. First, Saudi Arabia is sort of softening up to a deal. It's hard for us to take that seriously because we've been here so many times before. Anytime oil drops below, say, $45 a barrel, we'll see officials come out and say, hey, a production deal is near, and then the markets lift prices, and then all of a sudden, you know, those rumors sort of fade away. So how can we really take him at his word?
Well, I think a lot of skepticism is deserved here, Scott. I agree. I mean, if you just put yourself in the shoes of these Iranian officials and Saudi officials, just talking about Saudi Arabia, just this week, we've heard that there's been a big pay cut amongst Saudi politicians, Saudi officials, and
right.
So they are physically bearing the brunt of this drop in the oil price. So for the oil ministry to turn around and just say, okay, we're going to hand over some market share directly to Iran, you can imagine that would not go down too well at home, and it's probably not something very politically tenable for them.
Well, and just quickly, as we run out of time, you mentioned Iran's desire to produce more oil, but you know, we're also not talking enough about Nigeria and Libya. They also want to produce more oil. So given all these factors that we're talking about, do you see a path to a deal? I mean, you seem to see one in the coming months, perhaps at the November meeting.
Well, that's right. Libya said yesterday they would expect to be exempt from any kind of freeze agreement, so not looking too promising there either. I think eventually we're going to reach the stage where Iranian production is enough, equally Nigeria, some of these other nations, where they see the benefits of a production cut overall across OPEC to outweigh trying to garner market share, but I just don't think we're particularly close yet.
All right, Jasper Lawler from CMC Markets in London. Jasper, thanks for breaking it down for us.
Thank you.
I'm Scott Gamm, and you're watching The Street.